Welcome, everybody, to the Sentinel Report. I am your host, Alex Newman. Folks, so much happening in the world. Our friends over in the United Kingdom have a new solution to the illegal immigration crisis. You need a digital ID. That is according to their new Muslim Home Affairs Secretary. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. And, of course, we warned you this was going to happen. We've got the great Peter McElvenna coming on the program to discuss that with us. We also have Senator Brandon Shippey from Idaho talking about the battle that just took place this year over whether the government will be funding home education and private schools or whether that will remain a parental responsibility so that we can protect the independence of homeschooling and private schools. We also have huge lies in the textbooks. I wish I were kidding, but we've got the smoking gun evidence. And then California wants your kids, or they want to hand your kids to anybody who claims to be protecting them. Yeah, all that and much more. Big news out of the White House today. Huge news on the vaccine front. So stay tuned for all of that today, folks. We've just got so much going on today in the world that everybody needs to know about. But we'll start like we do every day with a word from the Word. This comes out of Proverbs 10. It's in verse 9. The Bible reads, "Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out." It's a good reminder, folks. Everything that is hidden is going to be brought into the light. Always good to remember that when you think you're doing something hidden, it's not going to be hidden forever. Before we get to the news today, I do want to tell you again about our good friends over at Victory Nutrition International, folks. One of the products that they've got that I just love is called Trim Rocks. It comes in these nice little packets, and it does a lot of good stuff. It boosts your energy levels. It helps you burn fat, brings balance. And it's got all kinds of really great ingredients, all natural, obviously, with patented absorption technology. And one of the things that I like best about it is it's not like those nasty supplements that either taste terrible or whatever. This one actually tastes like Pop Rocks. You put it in, and it's like popping around. Really, really great stuff. So go check them out, folks. They're giving a really special discount right now. It's at VNI for Victory Nutrition International .life/Newman. And when you use the code Newman20, they're literally going to give you a 20% discount on this so you can try it out. And they've got other great products, too, that we just love. They've got this Protovite, really good stuff. You just add it into your water. It's antioxidants. It is multivitamin. It's all kinds of great stuff. And then they got this one here full of enzymes to help your digestion. I just can't say enough good things about these folks. I've gotten to where I use them every day. And we do want to encourage our loyal viewers and listeners to give it a try. I think you're really, really going to like it. And again, when you use that promo code Newman20, you're going to get a 20% discount on your order. We also have the great Andrew Muller joining us today for our news segment. He is, of course, Chief of Operations at Liberty Sentinel Media, also a regular contributor to the New American Magazine, where I serve as senior editor. Andrew, welcome to the program. Trump had a big announcement today, just this morning, in fact, something that was music to my ears. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Donald Trump spoke this morning at the Religious Liberty Commission for the White House. It was hosted at the Museum of the Bible, where he actually donated his personal Bible that he was inaugurated on to the Museum of the Bible. And he talked about the importance of prayer, the importance of turning back to our Christian roots. There was a whole bunch to it. He said, "We will never surrender our God-given rights. We will defend our liberties, our values, and our sovereignty, and we will defend our freedom." Here is actually a clip of the president saying that.
America has always been a nation that believes in the power of prayer, and we will never apologize for our faith, ever, ever, never, never. We will never surrender our God-given rights. We will defend our liberties, our values, our sovereignty, and we will defend our freedom. And with the help of amazing faith communities across the land, so many are represented with us today, we will truly make this the golden age of America. That's what we're doing. We're in a golden age. We're at the very beginning of a golden age. So much progress has been made in the last 8 months. Progress like nobody's ever seen before. They're writing about it. They're actually saying it. They've never seen anything like what's happened in the last 8 months. And together we will make our country greater, stronger, more united, and more faithful than ever before.
So that was great. And it was different than your typical, presidential address about religious freedom. He didn't just talk about faith and spirituality in these general terms. It was overtly Christian. He mentioned the Bible. He mentioned Jesus Christ. And he actually talked about the Bible and the importance of it when he gifted his personal Bible to the Museum of the Bible. Here he is talking about the scriptures explicitly.
For thousands of years, the Bible has shaped civilization, ethics, art, and literature, and it's brought hope, healing, and transformation to untold millions and millions of lives. The Bible is also an important part of the American story. That's why I'm delighted to announce that just moments ago, I have personally delivered the Trump Family Bible given to me by my mother. I remember the time she gave it to me. But it was used in both my inaugurations and also display at the museum. And I guess it will now be displayed right in the heart of our nation's capital right here. And that's an honor.
So really significant. I mean, as Christians who love America, want to see America have a national revival, this is huge. And this event wasn't just, a little bit of lip service, nice announcements about the Bible. It actually came with a really nice action item. President Trump released this America Prays initiative, and it came with this really nice landing page that you see here on the screen, an invitation to prayer and rededication of the United States as one nation under God. And this actually comes with a 22-page really devotional, Alex, about America's Christian heritage. It starts in 1607 with the Cape Henry landing and the devotion of Jamestown. It goes all the way through the Pilgrims, the first prayer in Congress, all these different things, praying at the Constitutional Convention. Really fantastic resource. And what they're trying to do is get 1 million Americans a week to get together and pray for our country leading up to what they're calling the Super Centennial, the 250th anniversary of our country, July 4th, 2026. And this is going to be a really, really neat way to celebrate it, Alex. And they even say on that White House website to open prayer meetings with scripture about God's sovereignty and his plan for our nation. So this is really unique.
It's amazing, Andrew. It's so funny. Just yesterday, I was thinking about what's going on politically, and it just I couldn't shake the fact that as much as there's some good things happening now, it's all going to be for nothing if America doesn't turn back to God and repent of this wickedness, repent of the tens of millions of babies that we've slaughtered, repent of the evil that our nation has exported around the world through Hollywood and the pornography industry and the so-called homosexual marriage. There really is no political solution to these problems. If Americans don't get on their knees and pray, it's all for nothing. So I cannot tell you how pleased I am to see Donald Trump calling for this. It's exactly what our nation needs right now. I hope the American people will respond. There is other good news. I mean, really, really good news on the vaccine front. It almost seems like Florida and the DeSantis crew is in a little bit of a competition with Trump and the Trump crew on who's going to expose the injections more vigorously. Just last week, Trump dropped this incredible note on his Truth Social platform. I'm going to read it here for our folks who are listening by radio or on podcast. It says it's very important that the drug companies justify the success of their various COVID drugs. Many people think they're a miracle that saved millions of lives. Others disagree. With the CDC being ripped apart over this question, I want the answer and I want it now. I've been shown information from Pfizer and others that is extraordinary, but they never seem to show those results to the public. Why not? They go off to the next hunt and let everyone rip themselves apart, including Bobby Kennedy Jr. and the CDC, trying to figure out the success or failure of the drug company's COVID work. They show me great numbers of results, but they don't seem to be showing them to many others. I want them to show them now to CDC and the public to clear up this mess one way or another. I hope Operation Warp Speed was as brilliant as many say it was. If not, we all want to know about it and why. Thank you for your attention to this very important matter, President Donald J. Trump. Folks, I've been begging for this for years now, for Trump to please get off of this ridiculous idea that Operation Warp Speed was the greatest thing since sliced bread. It was a catastrophe. It killed my father. It terribly injured multiple members of my family. And as much as I appreciate so much of what Donald Trump has done, this was like my single biggest, like, can you stop it, please? And it does seem like the tide is turning in some very important ways. In fact, if we go down to 2.5, you just sent me this earlier today, Andrew. Trump posted a post saying that all vaccines are poison. Let's check this out. For the folks listening to us, they're not going to be able to see that, but they go on to show the mercury and how incredibly toxic that is. Of course, it's in all the injections. Andrew, before we get to Billy Gates of hell and other friends at the White House, we've only got a couple minutes before we got to go to break. What do you make of this shift on vaccines from the Trump administration?
Well, I think that Donald Trump always makes the right decision when he has good and accurate information in front of him. That's typically his instinct. Now, he doesn't do that 100% of the time, But it would not surprise me one bit, Alex, if these big pharma, big vaccine people came to Trump and gave him false data, gave him false information and said, this is the right choice. You need to make it. All the experts agree. And he went ahead and did it. And I think now that real data is coming out, it's been coming out for years. We've been talking about on this show and the New American Magazine about how these shots are dangerous. I think Trump is starting to recognize that maybe the data he was given was wrong. So between that post he made on Truth saying, I want the data and I want it now, and now this new post that came out about an hour at the time of recording of the show right now, I think we're starting to see the president wake up to the fact that he was duped. And if Robert F. Kennedy's HHS can coincide this data the president's putting out about these vaccines maybe being false and the information he was given false, I think we can make a really strong case that this was a big deep state operation to kill tons of people, to harm our country, and to take us backwards. So this is a huge development. We need to be praying for Trump and his wisdom. But I do think when he gets the right information, he makes the right choice. And I think he's recognizing that that right information was not given to him.
Yeah, and I've said all along, I think he was duped. I hope and pray he was duped, because the other alternative is almost too terrifying to consider.
Yep.
But also, he just has a track record, like you said, of doing the right thing when he's got good information. So let's hope and pray that that's what's going on here. The Florida Department of Health is now working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida. In fact, you and I talked about this last week, Andrew, in our thank you note to our paid subscribers to the newsletter. We've also got a cover story coming out in the New American very soon about the danger of some of these vaccines, especially the COVID injection. But I want to show you guys just a quick little clip of Joe Latipo talking about these mandates.
But what I'm most excited about is an announcement that we're going to make, that we're making now, which is that the Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governor, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law. All of them.
Yeah, he goes on to say, he goes on to equate forcible vaccines with slavery. He says, God gave you your body, not the government. So I'm really encouraged by that. Obviously, the Trump-endorsed candidate for Florida governor, Byron Donalds, says, I don't think that can be done. They're not going to be able to do that. We got to get it through the legislature. So we'll see. I'm hopeful. This is just outrageous that they think they can inject these poisons into children by force. And there's a little bit of bad news. Bill Gates just showed up at the White House with Zuckerberg. Let's roll a little clip of that.
Well, I'm in the second phase of my career, giving away all the wonderful money that Satya's good work has helped multiply a lot. But I think the thing that ties my first career that I still spend some time on because AI is so phenomenal, and my second career is innovation, innovating in health in areas like vaccines or gene editing, and the president and I are talking about taking American innovation to the next level to cure and even eradicate.
Get out of here. Oh, man, gene editing. That reminds me of his article in the creepy Foreign Affairs magazine, where gene editing for good. We're going to not just edit all your food and your livestock. We're going to edit your babies. Bill Gates, get your grimy mitts off of the genetic code that God wrote for us. Just absolutely grotesque, in my opinion. I don't know. Why do you think Trump invited Bill Gates to the White House? What do we make of this?
Well, he's always surrounded himself with people who invest big in America, big CEOs. He likes having Tim Cook of Apple around, just people who pour money into the country as far as industry is concerned. So I do think that could be part of the reason. Maybe he's keeping his enemies close. I hope that's the case. That's not an endorsement of what Bill Gates of hell, as you affectionately call him, is doing. However, I will say this, that, Bill Gates is a big proponent of Agenda 2030, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and Donald Trump is actively working against those things, in my opinion, pulling us out of the Paris Climate Accord, getting us out of UNESCO, all these different things. So I still think Bill Gates and Donald Trump are foes, but I do think that Donald Trump has a soft side for bringing in these big investors and these big CEOs who want to invest in America. And a lot of people were talking about this, saying, Trump had Bill Gates over for dinner. Maybe he's conspiring with him. I think Trump's actions say differently, but it's definitely something to look at and go, But I'm sure Bill Gates didn't look at the Truth Post this afternoon saying all vaccines were poison with much satisfaction.
Oh, I bet he's losing his mind over it.
Yep.
Couldn't happen to a nicer person. Now, going back to Florida, our dear Governor Ron DeSantis, he tried to get the legislature to eliminate property taxes, and of course they refused. But now he's saying, well, we're going to put it on the ballot. We're going to let voters decide. I want to show this little clip of our governor here.
To help with property tax, but it's not something I can just ask the legislature, hey, cut the millage, do this, do that, because they don't have constitutional authority to do the local taxes. That is your counties and your cities. So what we're going to do is we're going to place a question on the ballot that is going to allow Floridians to be able to vote themselves relief from property tax. And as I said, my vision is, if you own your home, to truly own it, you have to own it free and clear of the government. You shouldn't have to pay rent to the government.
Okay.
And,
yeah, shouldn't have to pay rent to the government just to be able to live in your house. Man, that's radical. Unbelievable. And of course, Andrew, you actually had an opportunity to speak with Byron Donalds, who is very likely to be our next governor. He's not a big fan, huh?
No, so he told me he was against this. I said, you're going to do the property tax thing if you take over DeSantis's role, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He's like, no, actually, we're not. I don't think it's a good idea. And get why? Why is it not a good idea? Because it would hurt the schools, right, Alex? We don't want to hurt the schools. We don't want to stop the kids from having their litter boxes for the furries and the transgender nonsense. So that is what Byron Donalds told me. So I was very disappointed in that. But I think that what the governor's trying to do is the right way to go about this, because you have to add a constitutional amendment to the Florida Constitution. Article 7, Section 1 and 9 of the Florida Constitution has property tax in there, so you'd have to change that. So you can either do that by having 3/5 of the state legislature do an amendment, which is unlikely, or you do a ballot initiative where you're going to have to get around 891,000 signatures, roughly 8% of the voting population during a presidential election in the state, to sign to have an amendment added. So I think that that's what's going to happen. Hopefully we can get this done. But this is a communist idea, Alex, where you have to pay property tax to the government to keep your home. This really does enable the you'll own nothing and be happy WEF movement, because eventually if there is some sort of economic collapse, people aren't going to be able to pay their property tax. They're going to lose their home because they really never owned it because of this whole communistic system. So I'm so thankful that Governor DeSantis is doing this. I hope, Byron Donalds, if you're listening, you change your heart on this, but hopefully you won't have to, because we'll get it done before you ever reach the office.
Yeah, that would be very nice. I wonder if this isn't part of the you will own nothing and be happy thing, right? Just make everybody lose their job, and now you can't pay your property tax. Suckers! BlackRock will be happy to take over your mortgage for you. I mean, your property for you. Unbelievable. So we got other news out of Tallahassee also. Republican State Senator Jonathan Martin announcing last week he's going to file a bill that will require the public disclosure of whether the individuals committing these mass shootings, terrorist acts, whatever, have been taking SSRIs, these antidepressant drugs that are so incredibly dangerous. He says the numerous instances of killing innocent children by those who are suspected of taking these drugs is far too prevalent to continue to go unchecked. And frankly, I've had my eye on this for a long time. I'm convinced that there's a link. In fact, if you read the warning label on these boxes of drugs, they actually tell you can contribute to suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation. So I don't know why that's controversial, but apparently it is. And on that vein, we've got a guy who apparently identifies as a transgender gunning down a dad who was trying to take his son to school. This just happened a few days ago, folks. It happened right in the aftermath of the mass shooting at that Catholic school in Minneapolis, where an individual who was quite confused about his gender ended up shooting a bunch of people. This is another really, really tragic story. This one happened in Massachusetts. The dad is dead. This was in Shrewsbury. And man, it's just incredible what's going on. But of course, our lawmakers are not interested in getting to the bottom of it. As Bernie Sanders explained, they're all taking money from Big Pharma. Let's listen.
Every single Republican, I don't mean to be political here, Mr. Chairman, has received PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. Are they all corrupt as well?
And I'm telling you, the American Heart Association has been co-opted by the food
Everybody
industry.
but you, Senator. But you know what? When you ran for president, we have a corrupt campaign finance system. Maybe you agree with me on
Bernie's right. He's absolutely right. They are all on the dole. And then, wow, we got to get to this. There's so many other news items we're not going to have time to get to. But Senator Tim Kaine, one of the most powerful senators, this guy's from Virginia. In my opinion, he's not qualified to serve in our government after hearing this outrageous little rant. Let's play that.
The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law and targets Sunnis, Baha'is, Jews, Christians, and other religious minorities. And they do it because they believe that they understand what natural rights are from their creator. So the statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
Yeah, how dare you believe that God gave you rights? You're like the Taliban or something. Like, man, truly incredible. Wow, Andrew. We got to go to break because we've got incredible guests coming up. I hope people will stay tuned because there's just really important information coming up. We got Senator Brandon Shippey. We've got Brian Lauer exposing the errors in the science books. We've got Peter McElvena talking about the push for a digital ID to solve the mass illegal immigration problem they put on us. And before we go to break, folks, I do want to encourage you to go check out Classical Conversations. My children have been enrolled in CC for many years. I can't say enough good things about it. It's just the best homeschool program that I know of. 135,000 other children plus enrolled in this, not just across the United States, but around the world. And one of the things that's so great about it, it's not just like a curriculum that you do at home. Once a week, you meet with a community of other families that are doing the same thing with paid tutors, and it's just it's an incredible thing. So go check it out, classicalconversations.com/LSM. The CEO also does a great podcast, Refining Rhetoric. I was just on last week talking about a new book that we are about to release, Woke and Weaponize, how Karl Marx won the war for American education and how we can take it back. So go check out classicalconversations.com, Refining Rhetoric, and stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to be right back after this quick break.
Your children are your legacy. Treat them as such. When you homeschool with Classical Conversations, they connect you with a local community of like-minded families who not only learn together, but do life together. They equip homeschool parents just like you, or grandparents, with the confidence to raise bright, observant students who have a lifelong love of learning. Please visit classicalconversations.com/LS